to this meeting of the Hawke's Bay Regional Council. Piri, can you please open our meeting?
Thank you, Chair. I do apologise for all those at the back. We've got an app that we use. It's called Te Kupenga. And for those of you who have it in our wings, please share it with the person next to you. We're going to be doing the first karakia, which starts off, he honore he karakia ki te atua. Welcome. A hoi anō ka rata tuanui o tēnei whare o tātau. Kai runga ki tēnei te whare o te kaunihira ārohe a tamataua Māui. Tēnei te mihi ki o koutou katoa me ki ranga kai kaunihira hoki mai rā ki te tepu. Kia tātou e noho kei ngā parirau o tēnei wahanga whare o tātau a tēnā koutou hoki mai, tēnā koutou hoki mai rā. He tū tēnei ki te mihi kia koe kia kōruara e Rex. Julie, ko tā koe tū ki te mihi kia kōrua. E tai taki rua mai rā, kai wanganui anō rā i a tātou. He mea tauhau mau e Rex kia noho kai ngā parirau me ki rā tāu tūru i konei rā. Engari, nau nei te karanga, nau nei te kōrero. Nō reira, kia tau mai i ōna manaakitanga kai rungi i a koe, kia rungi i a kōrua. Tai hoki rā ki o whānau e noho nei a ki te mahana o tō whare. Nō reira, ka tira he mihi anō ki tō tātou nei mate. Rā tau kua mene atu ki te pō i mahu e tērā i a tātou, ko tēnei te pito ora, tēnei te mihi, haere atu, hoki atu rā. Ka tātou e whai nei kei ngā e pikau hea nei, ngā tūmanako, ngā wawata e mahu e tea o ratau, tēnā koutou, a tēnā koutou e te iwi haramaira. Our karakia on the app. I will set the pace and I'll go really slow and I would love you to set the volume. Is that a fair arrangement? Ka pai. Right. Just to free our te hau o te tangata. E tū tātou. Right. He honore he karakia ki te atua. He mau ngā rongo ki te whenua. He whakaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa. A ngā e te atua he ngā kauhau. Ki roto ki tēnā o mātai. Whakatongia tō wairua tapu. Hei āwhina. Hei tohu i a mātou, hei a kō hoki i ngā mahi o tēnei rā, āmine tēnā tātou. Thank you, Chair.
Ngā mihi Piri. As per Section 26 of the Local Government Act, we are without our acting chair present today, and as our acting chair is also our deputy chair, we don't have a deputy chair to preside over today's meeting. So it is necessary for councillors to elect a chair to commence our proceedings today. So can I call for nominations for that?
Can I nominate Neil Curtin, please?
And I'd like to second. Thank you.
Nominated and seconded. All those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against? That's carried.
Already.
Well, thank you for that, fellow councillors, and welcome to our extended gallery. It's great to see you here, and particularly welcome to our kamatua, Rex. It's great to see you here, Julie, Toro. Thank you for your attendance here. We'll start the meeting off with a request for any apologies. Rick is not an apology. Rick is attendance by Zoom and entitled to do so. Can I have any requests for any notices, please? Are there any notices? Mr. Paku.
Just reconfirming my earlier notice from our last Māori Standing Committee meeting of my absence for the month of July.
Thank you, so noted. Mr. Tapani.
And apologies from Deputy Co-Chair Joinella Mai Carroll.
Okay, thank you for that.
So, Chair, I just need to advise the meeting that I'm withdrawing item number 21, the public excluded item, 22, the public excluded item on Section 36 charges. We will discuss that with councillors at a later date and bring that matter back for consideration in due course.
I'm up to the item, councillors, to do with housekeeping, and I understand there's going to be a fire alarm.
No, it's just, it's a vehicle that's parked in car park 20. It's a silver Wing Road Nissan. Whoever owns that, the alarm is going off at the moment. It's out there.
So not a fire alarm. Do we have a mover for those apologies? I think we did one of those. Councillor Foley, seconded Councillor Foss. All those in favour of receiving the apologies will say aye. Aye. Those against will say no. That's carried. The up to agenda item 2, it's conflict of interest. Are there any conflicts to declare? There are none. We'll go now to the confirmation of the minutes of the meetings of the 19th and 26th of May. Are there any corrections to those minutes that councillors wish to raise? There are none. Can I have a mover to receive the minutes, accept the minutes? Councillor Ormsby, Councillor Foley. Do you wish to speak to those, councillors? Any amendments? We've had a mover and a seconder to receive the minutes. Those in favour of that will say aye. Aye. Those against will say no. That's carried. Are there any matters arising that you wish to raise? No matters arising. We now move to a very important part.
Sorry, we've also got confirmation minutes of 26 May. Or will they move together?
I moved those together. Yeah.
Sorry, Chair.
We now move to a very important part of this particular meeting. 30th of June, the end of the financial year. It's the day in which we adopt our long-term plan, and it happens to be the day that we bid farewell to an outstanding servant of this council and an outstanding servant of Hawke's Bay, and it gives me no pleasure at all to bid farewell to Chairman Rex, a wonderful servant to us all. What I'd like to do is to invite councillors in turn to comment on as they wish, including Tanga Whenua reps as well, and also to invite one of our close colleagues for many years, Toro Waka, to also contribute. So I'll start the process off, and then we'll move around the table and have that comment. That's a good idea. Could we get the chair for one last time to take his place at the head of the table with Julie and Toro?
I feel like a roasting up here.
Yeah.
So.
Who told him? It's a red chair, and we've got a button here, Rex. Rex, it's been a great pleasure working with you for this is the second term, a very successful first term. I think it goes without saying that the hospitality and generosity you've shown to councillors and staff throughout that time is extraordinary. We've loved our time with you. No greater host, a convivial home to come and visit. You're always extremely welcome, and thank you, Julie, for your accommodation of council and staff over that period of time. It's been a pleasure to have come to your household in that way. Rex, for me, over 2 decades of being on council, your leadership has been second to none. It's been an extraordinary leadership. I've totally admired your vision for the region, your dedication to the region, and your dedication and commitment to this Hawke's Bay Regional Council. That's been an entire inspiration. In your first day as chair in the previous triennium, you had a burning passion to ensure we acknowledge tangata whenua, that we, this council, acknowledge where we've come from and where we ought to be going. And one of your early moves, which was ahead of its time, was to acknowledge the tupuna around the council chamber. Unfortunately, that fell on deaf ears for that time, but its time will come, I'm assured. Rex, that vision and passion for true partnership was reflected in your advocacy for Māori constituencies, your certainty around that, and your continued advocacy for it. And I'm pleased to see that we actually got there at the end of the day with that. So one of the triumphs of your tenure as chair has to be that outcome. But more particularly, your passion and vision for the environment and the surroundings we've got in this wonderful region were equally, I think, one of the things that set you apart, that you changed the agenda, you changed the framework, and you've set us off on a course, and this long-term plan reflects that, where we are making very substantial investments into repairing the damage that's been done to the whenua over 180 odd years, and I'm just delighted and pleased to be a part of a group of councillors who unanimously agreed with your position on that. I'm sure there are many fine words to follow, and I'd invite our colleague Mike Paku to continue, and we'll follow around the room in that course.
Thank you, Neil. Ka mihi kia koe, Rex, mea koe Julie Hawke. Mea o koutou, te whānau whānui o te matawa Māui, i tai mai I tēnei wā I te tautoko te kupu pōwhiritia ki a tātou rangatira a Rex I tēnei wā. Rex, on my behalf and also I think the behalf of our Māori Standing Committee, present and past, and mindful of my co-chair who's zooming in today, Michelle, we just really want to thank you for all your efforts in supporting, as Neil talked about, the Māori Standing Committee, the RPC, the views of Māori, bringing our concerns, our raru to the table, and your willingness to address those. I've often commented over the years, I kind of think to our relations over across the Tasman and how Australians place or value on their whakapapa in regards to being able to relate themselves back to the first convicts that were sent over to Australia. And I often comment to myself that I'm sure if you've gone back into your closet and tried to find some whakapapa that establishes you to head a taunga, and I'm sure you've, and if Ngāhiwi could, he would actually lend you some to give you that sense of ownership. What I really liked about you, Rex, is your commitment to the role of chair. You have been a very hands-on chair. You've done the job with passion. You've sat in that chair, and we have all known your passion and your views of where you are on particular items. You're someone who wears their emotions on their sleeve. I will also say there have been times where you've thrown your toys out of the cot and sulked because things didn't go your way. But to me, that's part of you wearing your emotions on your sleeve. As a region, we have benefited from that. not only as Māori, but the community as a whole. We wish you well with your retirement and with your whaiwhai in regards to your mawiriwitanga. So we wish you all of the best in overcoming your battle in front of you. We wish you and Julie and the whānau all of the best. I'm not too sure how your girl's going to get on now that she's lost to IT job, but I'm sure she'll get over it. Look, I'm not going to say much more than that. There's plenty more to say. Ka nui te mihi ki a koe, te rangatira. My final words, there's this whakatauaki that we all know, te kai o te rangatira he kōrero. And you have certainly been a rangatira, and your kōrero has been that of a rangatira at this table. Tēnā koe.
Kia ora, tēnā koe mātua Rex and tēnā koe Julie Hawke. Rex, I first met you about 12 years ago to do with the sports park, and you were exemplifying what you have revealed to me since at that time, both your passion and your selfless ethic of service. And I think that's really what strikes me the most about having shared a short time with you in this role. You once remarked to me that you've never really had a day off, and goodness knows how long. And that really struck me as quite extraordinary. You are now, for the first time in your life, as I see it, putting yourself and your family first, and I totally commend you for that. Another skill that I think you share and have revealed to us is the ability to get to the nub of the issue without fluff and fanfare. You are a mix of wisdom, humour, warmth and humanity in the way that you have chaired this committee and the way that you've interacted with the broader community of Hawke's Bay. It's been a privilege to have served with you and to learn from you. So thank you for the support you've shown in helping us in the roles that we've had. Have no regrets, Rex, but for what you have sacrificed of yourself to the greater good. You are first and foremost and for all time, as I once shared with you, a good man. Ngā mihi mahana kia koe.
Kia ora. Mr. Foss.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Rex. I've seen many leaders in the various roles I've had, and those leadership qualities that you've demonstrated as long as I've been around this table, but even prior, as we've engaged in one way, shape or form, are textbook and so admirable in a Kiwi way. I say that having been on the wrong end of your double barrels occasionally, as maybe a few of us have, but with passion, not anger, and then finding a solution and getting on with whatever it is the next day or whatever. It's such an admirable quality as yourself. I mean, I look around this table or previous tables, you know, even from a political context, there's been members who have been deeply involved in the ACT Party over the years, those involved in the Labour Party over many years, the National Party over many years, New Zealand First, and even some Green parties and quite possibly Māori Party members. My point being, your leadership has pulled us all through the same needle. And those things that we share is probably 90%, which is in your ability to bring that to the fore, find a solution, give a little, take a bit more. It's just admirable. Thank you on behalf of Hawke's Bay. Even with those other parties, I even understand you were part of a Roman party at some stage. I used to get reports of the Romans are at ease again. So I wonder if at ease are a bit worried about what you might be doing. But jokes aside, it's been an honour and an honourable time to share with you. Can I just, but first, thank you, Julie. Thank you for lending us your husband. Thank you to your family for lending us your husband, your mate, your best friend, your dad. I know what it's like, and as other speakers have said, that role you've given above and beyond. We never had to put a clock on you, Rex, because we knew you're on the job 24/7. And that does come at a price. And I sincerely hope and treasure a hope that you're able to enjoy time at home, have shut the door from this, knowing you have left it in such good hands, in such good state. We had to have a few bumps along the road. Of course, wouldn't be normal if we didn't. But again, thank you, Julie, to you and your family for lending us your husband, your mate, your dad for so long for the good of Hawke's Bay. And Rex, absolute very, very best. I will buy you a coffee at ease and that catch up, and best of luck working your way through the list that you now have, but you might not realise there's actually a couple more lists in the bottom drawer you forgot about to work your way through. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Craig. Happy?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Rex, Julie, ngā mihi kōrua. So I'd like to echo, first of all, some of Craig's comments. I wanted to start with you, Julie, for the same reasons as Craig has highlighted. All throughout the world, you've got a yin and a yang, and there's always a balance. And we see Rex all the time, we hear Rex all the time, and we feel the sharp-ended points of his remarks and his whakaaro often. But what we don't see, as Craig alluded to, are the people that stand behind the voice and stand behind those that put themselves in the front line. And so I know that this hasn't been an easy journey for you, Rex, but it has been made somewhat easier by the support that continues to see you through some of the challenges you're still yet to overcome. And so to you, Julie, and to your family, I acknowledge you in the first instance. It's your contribution that provides the fuel that brings Rex to the front. So on behalf of our iwi groups across the 5 catchments, it's my humble privilege to acknowledge your service over decades and decades to the Hawke's Bay region through many different forums in the environmental scope and realms. And so we wish you and acknowledge your service to our communities across those 5 catchments, particularly the thickness and the leatherness of your skin. It is not an easy forum at times to be able to wander into with confidence, and it can be even more difficult to walk out with a sense of achievement and pride. And I would note from my own short term and my own short observations that there have really been a number of opportunities where you have walked out of a situation where the outcome was never really determined and never really sure, but thanks to your tenacity and your forthrightness, your openness and your honesty, you've been able to create windows of conversations in areas of conflict which have resulted in opportunities for collaboration and harmony, not only amongst ourselves, but also within the balance of the environment that we represent and serve. And so on behalf of our 5 catchments and our iwi and hapu and whānau of Hawke's Bay, we'd like to sincerely acknowledge your service to us over this time, particularly because you showed bravery and willingness to move beyond those areas of comfort that we had become familiar with your predecessors. And so by way of providing, I guess, an analogy, as a descendant of Maori from Te Wairoa, there are similarities in what you have achieved in your time here in Hawke's Bay, and particularly within HBRC, and that is around being able to push people outside of their comfort zone. So Maui had to take his brothers beyond the waters that they knew into waters that they did not know. They were uncomfortable with his choice to do so, but as a result, we discovered new opportunities, new land, and today we sit in a forum where there are new people discussing new opportunities. And so my parallel to you is that I have observed that you are comfortable to push us beyond the waters we know and into spaces that we may not yet fully understand, but you do so with courage and you do so with dignity, and we acknowledge you and appreciate your efforts. It is the uniqueness of your character, your culture, and your person that has enabled you to create those spaces and to push those realms. And so, ngā mihi nunui ki a koe, on behalf of the 5 catchments, our iwi, our whānau, and our hapu o te mātua Māui, ka nui te mihi atu ki a kōrua. Kia ora.
O tēnei te mihi mahana ki a kōrua, kia tae mai nei, kei roto i tēnei whare mahana, ahakoa he makarere kei waho, kei ko nei kōrua, so tēnā kōrua. You know, Rex, you've been an inspiration for me. The first time we met, we were planting trees along the Tūtaikuri, of course, and I was with my son, speaking te reo with him, and you were just looking at me in awe, and I was looking at the chair going, he's looking at me in awe, and I'm looking at you in awe, and so, you know, that was the first time we actually had a kōrero, and we're getting our hands dirty, and from then on, you know, you encouraged me to stand for the regional council, and maybe you convinced me of things I never ever thought of seeing in myself, so I thank you for your support and your encouragement to do that. And then from then on, I've learned so much from you. You're such an inspirational leader for our region. You want to see the best for us in the future, for our mokopuna. You want to see us prosper, but you also always say in balance with a healthy environment. And that's really what I admire about you the most, that those core values are not about us right now, it's for the future. So, you know, just a big mihi to you and a warm welcome back, but this, you know, I'll see you again in another planting day. Ka pai? Ai, ka kite. Ai, kia ora.
Ka titi hau mauri ora, o te rā tēnā hoki tātou raro te matuanu e te wahi ngaro. E raro hoki te tuanu o tō tātou rei whare, e manaki a tātou tēnei wā. Ka tautuku nā mihi kua mihia, nā Karakia, kua Karakia tātou, no reira, ka huri ki a koe te rangatira. Nā mihi ki a koe Rex. So I've got a lot of personal things to thank you for, and they started about 7 years ago with one of those earlier trienniums. When I was sort of came down to Kahungunu here with Ngahiwi to talk about who wants to be in a council environment or, you know, represent our people. And he said, what do you think you're going to do is get up there and talk at the town hall, then go home and wait for voting day, then you might as well go home now. So, and I was just about out their door, because that was me all over. And you were there. You were there to give us all advice and talk about platforms and, you know, if you want to make a difference, and you need to have a platform or a target or a goal. And so based on that, yeah, I'll certainly back there the next week to follow your advice in Ngahiwi's. And I was lucky enough to get on the council. And then when I went back again 3 years later, it was a different story, because I wanted to be on the regional council, and you were there again and gave me a bit more advice. And I think if it wasn't for that, I probably would be back home enjoying a sunny day right now.
That's a kiss.
But in that case, thanks to you and Julie for taking us in and having talks to us and working those issues out. Getting a bit smarter about how we work with other people. And I certainly now speak to you on behalf of the Wairua electorate. You've put forward the notion that we've always known, and that's that the future of Hawke's Bay is actually 80 kilometres that way. You've offered the ideas up of horticulture taking over the area as opposed to pine trees. Yeah, we all think pine trees, you know, the signs are out there already. You can't live on you can't eat wood. But, you know, you can eat fruit, you can eat work, you can do all of those things. And we certainly want to keep pushing that kaupapa. The advancement of Wairua is certainly high on the agenda, and you've done well to talk to Pāhu Wera as well as Tātou. There's other groups at Rungamai Wahine as well, and the townsfolk and all our farmers. So they know who you are. And they're grateful for the opportunity to have talked to you and spoken to you and be guided by some good advice you put on the table. So I know we haven't always made it eye to eye with our district council at times, because we're a bit behind the eight ball for a regional park plan. But I think what they've gotten so far and what we're going to get in the future is we're moving right on. So it wasn't, and it was because of you, Rex. Because you had the vision to actually kick something off get people on a bus and go and have a look at some orchards, not just here, down Central Hawke's Bay, and just have that, sow the seeds that could be us. We had a look at a pack house. We could have a pack house in Wairau. Those are still really good visions for us. And so anything is possible. And you've shown us a good leadership style. You haven't rushed into anything, or you've always looked at issues with, let's just sit down and have a talk first. Let's not just jump to any conclusions. It's just a simple idea, just get around the table and have a talk. And that seems to be, that's one of the things that separates the wheat from the chaff, is being able to have simple leadership like that. From those sort of beginnings, anything's possible. But if you're going in there with pre-drawn conclusions, which you don't do, then we're in trouble. We've got our blinkers on to start. So thanks for those little gems, I guess, Rex. We wouldn't have got them from anyone else if we weren't in the seat. So, it's been a pleasure. It's on behalf of Wairau. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Charlie.
Tēnā koe, Rex, and tēnā koe, Julie. I'll start with summing up. Rex, we started on the battlefield and we ended up on the same team. And so there's a little bit of me that wishes you weren't leaving for that reason. I guess what I admire the most about particularly working with you in the last 18 months or so is your ability and strength to be over many issues and strong on them. So you were, usually someone will be very strong one way or the other, but you were very strong with tangata whenua relationships. You're very strong on the environment, and you were also very strong on our primary sector and its production and its importance to our economy. And so, yeah, your strength I saw was your ability to be across all of that and more. I guess, when I started at Fed Farmers, a very wise Bruce Wills told me to never forget family comes first. And so I think my lasting impression will be your decision that you've made. I think that should go for all of us, that our family at home is what really matters, and I really admire you for the decision you made, and wish you and Julie all the best. Thank you.
Kia ora.
Mr. Chair, in a Lagoima, we're not allowed to stand while we speak, but it's in my culture, it wouldn't be correct if I did sitting down.
You're permitted to stand.
As you know, I'm...
Don't you make me cry, don't you make me cry.
but I see Rex does as well, and we've seen it earlier today with tears flowing. 37 years ago, as a 22-year-old, I stepped into Rex's office. And this is a bit more personal than him as a chair, because you've all said it, I can't do it any better. You've done it really well. All the qualities that you brought forward. 22 years ago, as a backpacker, I stepped into Rex's office late at night as an interview. We never talked about the job. For 2 hours non-stop, we talked about travel and what we're doing. The next day I get a call. He says, look, we've had some guys and girls apply, and they've been to university and studied it, but actually we decided that we like you and we'd take you on. So I was taken on in a role working for Rex. A year later, he fired me. And the reason was, and you can see this is Rex all over. Jared, come into my office. Everything I want to do, you change my mind, and then we'll do it your way. You should become a car salesman, because I don't like working this way. Off you go. Anyway, a long story, I can make it short, and Rex has given me the permission to speak at some other stage about the long history that we've got. And Rex, we've had a connection. We've never really been mates as such, never had a meal together at his place and my place. But who I am and where I stand now is because of Rex. He took me under his arm as a 22-year-old. He set me up in business, guaranteed finance. He hardly knew who I was. I had no property behind me, but he supported me and backed me. That's the man that Rex is today. And 2 years ago, almost to the day, we were sitting at Bayview, Bay Expresso, we're talking about who's going to stand. And just listening to what's been said before, maybe this council is a little bit stacked by Rex, because because he asked me, will you please stand? You know, we can make a great team. And I can see we have got a great team. And I said, on only one condition, is that you stand as well. Because at that time, Rex was in his mind wondering whether he should or not, because of the condition that he was in. And I think, Rex, it's been at a great cost of you that you actually did stand, but I'm absolutely grateful that you did. You know, and Julie, thank you very much that you actually have given him the permission to stand for those extra 2 years that we had, because we've achieved an enormous amount. And my industry, the horticulture industry, which is also Rex's industry, if they only knew what Rex actually has achieved and has set in motion. They're not really aware of this. I wish they did. And hopefully with the outcome of where we're going, that they actually will see it. Hopefully publicly I'll be able to actually give tribute to some of the work that you and I have crossed swords on, Rex. And you were absolutely right, you know. You talk about it often, that not to be able to stop the primary industry to burn green wood. I'm with you, absolutely. But you've done an amazing job getting us to that point that we will get there at some stage. So once again, that's the ability that you have. It has been an amazing, fun ride for the last 2 years. You made it fun, and that's part of doing the business. You've always had a smile for everyone. You always had somehow a joke, and that actually put people at ease, and that's how we got work done. So I wish you all the best, especially with the road that you're on. If there's anything we can do, you'll know all of us. Pick up the phone and we'll be there for you, as you were for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Van Beek. We're very fortunate to have Rick in Melbourne right now. Is he available?
Very fortunate. Joining us.
And we do have an off button, but we'll give Rick a chance to have his 1.5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. I really appreciate that. Yes, I came to Melbourne last weekend just for a quick weekend visit to see my family I hadn't seen since the beginning of COVID-19. And the New Zealand government decided I needed to stay here longer, so I stayed here longer. Rex, I've had some really interesting jobs in my career so far, but I have to say, working with you on the Regional Council has been an absolute highlight. I just loved your working style. We had a great team thing going together. I like the cut and the thrust, the black and whiteness of it, the vision, the energy, the passion. And you're out here to do things. I've seen many chairs of Hawke's Bay Regional Council, about 30 years of them, and I say without hesitation that you have been the best chair this Regional Council's had in 30 years, without a doubt. We turned up with two others, the Mushrooms, Peter and Tom, and we turned up here because we thought this place needed to have some changes. And boy, have we, your leadership, brought about some changes. But the key one I think you've brought about, the biggest change, the most fundamental of them, apart from the money and the finances which you all can do, is that you have brought a passion for building a strong and vibrant relationship with Mana Whenua. You have been unashamed about this. You have been, won't brook any challenge to it all. You've said this is the future, this is where we're going. And that with your emphasis on the environment. It took us 3 times to get the representation around the table for Mana Whenua, and I'm really pleased we've done that. I think you can put that down as one of your career achievements, I highlight. To Julie, I want to say, Julie, thank you for all the work you've done. Rex has been quite a faithful carrier of your messages to the Regional Council. Great interest in them. And I can say without a hesitation, a shadow of doubt, you've made him a better councillor on every occasion. Rex, my mate, can I just say here, it won't be long and I'll be joining you on the beach with a conflicky going fishing, and we'll talk about some other stories sometime then. So, fantastic ride, Rex Graham. I loved every minute of it, and we'll have evergreen memories of our time on the council. Make no mistake about that.
Can we bring Michelle in at this point? Michelle, are you able to?
Kia ora. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Neil, tēnā korua Rex, rau ko hua rangatira Julie. Geez, the first time you met me was following a protest, protest for the Wairau River. And we got a phone call and we heard that the regional council chair and James, etc., wanted to meet with these Wairau radicals. And you sat down and you sat us down and we had a talk over a coffee. And that was one thing I learned very quickly about you, Rex, is that you whakarongo. You listen to us, you listen to our people, and you really had the heart for our people. I judge a person on their heart, and I could see that you loved our people, and you fought for our people. You and Rick 3 times, and we finally got it through. And if there's one thing I remember is when we had the LTP in Wairau just recently, and I can see Rex was getting hoaha with some of the questions, and even I was. But we got through that. But when I walked through the door, I saw this big beaming smile, and I went up to him and I said, 89% support, Rex. We got it, even if we bugged everybody that was, there was a voter in Wairau, we got it. And I mean, our people came together, and 3rd time we won. And I will never forget you for that. Yeah, I might be a radical, but I'm a bit big sock too, and I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed I can't be there today and hug you. But I think my tūpuna didn't want me to travel on the road today because I've got a really sore back. But I wanted to make sure I was able to mihi you and your lovely wife. Thank you for sharing such a wonderful man with our people, and I look forward to working with the next chair. But Rex, piki tora, piki te kaha, you got this, and I'll see you at I'll come and have a cup of tea with you, a coffee with you, and talk over what our next protest is about. But it's certainly a different world now, Rex, sitting in a hui and not going, well, okay, now we have Māori constituencies in 2022. And, a big part of that is because of you, Rex Graham, and I thank you very much. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Michelle.
Look,
Someone needs to make me laugh now.
That's where Toro comes in.
She just says you got no head.
Toro, nice. Can we bring you forward?
I'll let my mate over the back talk.
Hoti rā, te wairā tahi mauri ora ki te rangi, te wairā tahi mauri ora ki te whenua, tamu roto, te rangaroto, te Māori koma te rangi o te waka tāki timu. Kei tuku nā mihi o te rangatira ki tātou matu ki runga rawa, e ngā tini o aitua ta wā, nā reira tēnā rā tātou. Rex, me tō hō rangatira, mihi ate ki a kōrua.
We've got a saying in Māoridom, I roto I te roro te kao te tina, whāwera whakatauki, which my mother abided by, and she lived till she was 92. So it's all about you taking responsibility for your own health and caring for yourself and your whānau. And I commend you on your decision to put number 1 first. Before I move on, I'd like to commend this council in terms of its maturity in acknowledging the work of partners of councillors. I have a wife who's always on my case about, the amount of time you put into things that are not necessarily whānau. So Julie, mi ate ki a koe. Rex, what Rex and I, we've got something in common. I've got a little bit of Scottish heritage, so I'm allowed to give him the title of Braveheart. We had a organisational review thing for Parawood on Monday, and one of the things I said was that criticism's like money in the bank. You never get enough of it, and you should always be thankful that people care enough to tell you what you don't want to hear. And Rex is one of those people. You know, if we don't like what you said, he'll tell you straight up. And those things are important, because it's only by other people challenging your mindset that you're actually only going to develop. So Rex has done enough. Yeah, he's done a lot in terms of progressing matters, in terms of what you might call our treaty relationships. As a country, I suppose we were colonised by a nation that had a class system. And I've lived in that country. I lived up in Scotland for a while. I saw the people up there, and this was about 30 years ago. A lot of them had rickets, all that kind of stuff, all those signs of poverty. Yet it was the North Sea oil pumping up billions of dollars up there, and none of it was going down to the people. So, and then I went down to England. I lived down there for a little while, and you could see the class system there. Like lords, they owned whole villages, they owned the pubs, they owned the shops, and everybody was going like this. So we inherited a lot of that thinking. And Māori, we were taught to dislike ourselves in many ways in the schools, institutions, etc. We were taught to think less of ourselves than others. But we have risen up out of that. One of the poignant things that Rex said to me at one time was, we need to work together to stop a future civil war. And there's stuff going on, there's stuff going on that in the future, not so good, because we're turning into nations of haves and have-nots. And even our own people, we're struggling with the recruitment of people in the Parawood area anyway, recruitment into black power and all that. How do we deal with all that sort of stuff? Because even we can't get on with it. So yeah, we've got a lot of challenges going ahead. I'd like to thank Rex for all that stuff he's done in terms of the environment as well. I met Rex about 30, 40 years ago. And he was pivotal in doing a lot of the stuff in terms of the Mortial grapes. And they also did some grapes up at Pāro in Raupunga. And he's kept up encouraging economic development of our region in terms of horticulture, but also he's always been someone who stressed the need for balance. Yeah, balance in terms of the environment, etc. Like I was the co-chair of the RPC and for a while there, and during that short period, our environment went backwards in that short period. And I know Rex and others, we struggle in terms of how we're going to turn things around. And it's great to see that some measures are in place, and we are acknowledging things like climate emergency, whereas lots of people are still in denial about that. We are acknowledging that our water needs to be given the respect that it deserves. I decided to move out because you sometimes need to encourage younger people to take up the roles, because there's lots of other things to do. And I assure you, Rex, that a lot of those people who you have shoulder tapped and encouraged along the way, they're going to carry on the work and the aspirations that you aspired for. So, tēnā mihi nui ki ake. Even though we have crossed swords in the past, I think it's always been, we've always got over that. And I look forward to meeting you in another capacity. Maybe you're more freely, not more freely, more relaxing way. Tēnā rā tata.
Kia ora toro.
Kia tapatahi, kia kotahira,
Tātou, tātou e, tū tira mai ngā iwi. Tātou, tātou e, tū tira mai ngā iwi. Tātou, tātou e, whai a te maramatanga, me te aroha e ngā iwi, kia tapatahi, kia kotahira, tātou, tātou e, tū tira mai ngā iwi, tātou, tātou e, tū tira mai ngā iwi, tātou, tātou e, whai a te maramatanga, me te aroha e ngā iwi, kia tapatahi, kia kotahira, tātou, tātou e, tātou, tātou e.
Raki amo, hiau e hi.
Tūpata hira hira e te rangatira e nei rā te mana whenua a huriri o ngā tika humunu e mihi ake nei e. Tēnā koe o tira, tēnā korua, tēnā tātou.
Kia ora.
Thank you so much for that. Some wonderful, wonderful words. We've got a few more to go before we. So I'm bypassing
Take too many more now.
I'm just bypassing you now, both Julie and Rex, and we'll go for a word from the team, the staff that I know Rex is very fond of. So. Are you able to help us there, James?
Maybe laugh, James.
Well, I'll try to keep us together. It's not easy, Julie and Rex, to have the burden, to be honest, to speak on behalf of the organisation because of the depth of gratitude for your leadership. Over the last nearly 5 years as chair of council. I need to make a few apologies. First of all, you did ask for this to be short, and there was no way it was going to be that. I need to apologise that we didn't get the air quality plan change that you would have liked, but as Jareth has pointed out, through your advocacy in the way that you so typically often have done, working around the formal systems and using your influence, your passion, your ability to campaign, you are making a difference to air quality already, and we're seeing an improvement in compliance on that, and that will continue, and we will pick up the plan change aspects through Kotahi.
Is that a promise, James?
That's a promise.
Yep.
Also in terms of the karamu, so we never got you the war room that you wanted right from the beginning. You were absolutely committed and focused to cleaning up Te Karamu. On that, though, I have to say that what we're seeing this winter in terms of community participation was great to see you out planting just the other day. So that momentum has really built, and we're now going to take forward a more comprehensive plan around Te Karamu. And of course, we've got a catchment coordinator who will be starting shortly for Te Karamu, and one of the first ports of call they'll be making will be to your door for a cup of tea to get your wisdom about going about that task. I do note, though, of course, with respect to Te Karamu, of course, we do have a tank plan change that has been notified and hearings are concluded. You had a significant role in navigating that plan change through, and as a consequence, we have capped the allocation of water in Hiritonga. We now have extensive source protection zones for the drinking water of the communities of Hiritonga. We have policies to support flow enhancement and water security with environment as the priority for that. We've got a substantial work program, of course, underway, which you championed right from the beginning in terms of your role. Charlie's mentioned the horticulture, and of course it has to be said that the demonstration site, which is being planted right as we speak, 10 hectares of apples in Wairoa, would not have happened without your passion and perseverance. You have taken me to Wairoa on many an occasion because of your passion for that community, and particularly the deprivation in that community, and doing something about that. So we don't have too much to apologise for because of how much you have achieved, and it was great to be at Waitangi last week and see you and Julie there celebrating what has become, of course, an annual event and a fantastic asset, which was the result of a huge amount of work by you and the Atiarangi Trust as well. Hawke Park, which you've been instrumental in, is coming together nicely, and we're going to the next development phase on that. And I understand that Rick's committed to carrying on the Taronga journey, and we'll get that one done, I'm sure. When you first started as chair, you were not willing to wait for the long-term plan process to get things cracking, and so you introduced the hotspots, and I think you might have even named them. Of course, the results we've had at Tutera this summer in terms of the swimmability returning is a great testament to that piece of work. It has to be said that the Napier Port IPO was your idea, and it is true that the Capital Structure Review Committee did come up with a different model, and in the end you prevailed. And I think it's worth noting that the total assets of this organisation when you started were just under $600 million, and this coming year will tip over $1 billion. So that's a pretty good result. You have presided over 2 long-term plans, Facing Our Future and Time to Act, and those collectively have produced an absolute step change in the capability of this organisation, particularly around fresh water, particularly around biodiversity, and now increasingly around climate change. And I think we have to thank Lily a little bit for some influence over the climate change agenda. This long-term plan that we're going to adopt today has a major capital commitment into the flood schemes of Hiritonga and the upper Tukituki, and you can rest assured that the communities of Hiritonga will be given the greatest level of protection from future climate events and flood risk as a consequence of this long-term plan that you presided over the development of. So these are really significant legacies. But look, what I wanted to finish on really, actually before I do that, I have got a couple of things to pass on. I have been asked to pass on best wishes to you from the Auckland Council, Otago Regional Council, Horizons Manawatu, Gisborne and Bay of Plenty. And we've also got colleagues from Napier City Council with us today, and who worship the Mayor sends her apologies as they've got a council meeting on today, but did very much want to be here. I have a message to deliver you from the Minister for the Environment. It reads, congratulations, Rex, on having achieved so much on so many difficult issues. Your work building partnerships with tangata whenua has been particularly noted and valued at the national level. It's been a pleasure working with you simply because you're such a nice guy, always with a sparkle in your eye. Best wishes for your retirement, David Parker. So look, I have to particularly acknowledge your partnership with me over the last 4 years. So look, I came from central government, having done my career largely working at the head of the public service and in the beehive, and no proximity to community. And it would be fair to say that our working styles couldn't have been more different. But what you mentored me about and taught me about was community, and that was exemplified by your preference to hold our weekly meetings in cafes and not in the office here, as much so as we could interact with the community and be seen doing our work in the community rather than behind closed doors. even if we did get a comment on one occasion about the confidential conversation we were having being overheard by the table next door. But look, that was an important symbol, obviously, of the way that you worked, absolutely at the flax roots with community, and particularly with mana whenua. The final thing that I really have to say on behalf of the organisation is an enormous thank you for the way in which you have supported the staff of this organisation, the kindness, the concern for their well-being, your relentless optimism, positivity, and energy for the work that we do. Whenever mistakes have been made, you've never blamed, you've never sought to point the finger or any recriminations. You've always been supportive of us just putting it right, and you've put the people first. You've never shied away from the hard calls, even when I've decided to prosecute your good mates. You have always played a straight bat and supported us doing absolutely what needs to be done. As others have said, you're incredibly straight up, and you say what you think, but you've always been open to advice, and certainly from Julie, and I know that Julie's had an instrumental role in guiding your work, and we're very grateful, Julie, to you for that teamwork. You've even been open to being told off on occasion by Di or other members of staff, and you've always taken that well. We have some presentations for you, but we'll perhaps give you the right of reply before we do that. The final thing I want to say on behalf of the executive leadership team in particular, some words come directly from Jess on the weekend, and that is that we've genuinely loved working with you.
Thank you, James. Before we go to Rex, I just want to, for the sake of the process, we will have a right of reply, and I've been thinking about the final word, and we'll have a right of reply from Rex, but then the final word will come from Julie. And we both know, Rex, that the people sitting behind us, we both share this in common with very able and forthright people we share our lives with. So we have that in common. We will have a brief presentation after Rex and Julie have spoken, and then the opportunity for a break in the proceedings of the meeting with a cup of tea and to share with Rex and Julie before we commence the carrying of the torch after that. So Rex, we'd love to hear from you, and then Julie to bring you back down to earth after that.
Do I need this? Try your. I'll get this one. Thank you, Neil, and thank you, everybody. And I swore I wasn't going to cry today, and I was thinking dead rats and trying to think of everything else, but you still got me. It's a very humbling experience sitting here. You know, you do feel you're sort of on the rack a little bit, and everyone's saying nice things about you. And two people actually said I'm a nice guy, and that's very rare for people to say I'm a nice guy. A contentious old bastard, yeah, I get that a little bit. And to Toro, you know, Toro and I, we have scrapped enormous amount. We had a major scrap once, and so I'll tell this little story, where he actually tried to get me sacked. And, you know, I never ever held a grudge ever in my life. And I found out that Toto didn't either, because 2 weeks later we were having a cup of tea, and even a little bit later than that, his mum died, and we were sharing our sorrows at the tangi. So, Tora, you know, you are as contentious as me. There's no doubt about it. But you never held a grudge either, and you know, the nation has been better for you. To everyone round here who said kind words, thank you very much. You are a great bunch. I actually think you are the best council in the country. I've got around and I've seen people, every time I very reluctantly go to Wellington, as you all know, but when I do, and I hear all their woes and moans about their councils and all the difficulties they're having, and we weren't having any
really. We had a few different points of view, but we always got over it really well, and I was really proud of everyone that we did that. But you are a really talented bunch. There's no doubt about that. And I think this community should be very grateful to have the people sitting around the table, especially people, Tangata Whenua. Hey, what's that fellow from Waimarum all of a sudden sitting at the table, eh? Quetta Baden. Mike, you have been quite sensational, really, representing Tangata Whenua, and you preceded by Mike Mohi, who became always been in my life actually for 50 years, but latterly became a very dear and close friend of mine. So to everybody, Michelle, you have been sensational, mate. You have really, I have really admired your passion, and it's been tremendous. To Rick, I would say this. Are you looking at me now, Rick? I'm looking at you. You know, I described Rick as my consigliere, because I always imagined myself as a bit of a don. But he preferred the word wingman, and he always was. And talk about sulking. Someone said that I did that was Mike, I think. We lost a couple of votes, and one particular one, we lost a vote to collect the funds for CDs. It was civil defence. And I had a major meltdown when we lost that. And Rick came in, and I'm not even sure that it was legal at the time, but he came in and said, I think we can solve this. And within 5 minutes, we had a unanimous vote to do that. So sometimes sulking like your mother and going off to your room works. But it has been a wonderful journey. I met some absolutely marvellous and wonderful people. I never ever thought I'd be doing this, because I was in the commercial sector and really wanted to retire. And I'm 70 now, for God's sake, should have retired 10 years ago. But I'm happy to go. I think that as a council collectively, and that's the previous council as well, we did some marvellous things. And one of the first things we did as the previous council is that we banned the drilling for oil and gas around our waterways. We did that before the government. And, you know, of course, Hawke's Bay, and especially Heritonga, is just all waterway. So it just meant no drilling for oil in Heritonga. And I'm really proud of the council that they stood up and they did that. And one of the things about this council and the previous one is you always had the courage. You've got to have the courage to say, you're going to take some shit on this, but get out and do what is right. And this council did do what was right. So thank you very much. I did make some notes, but I'm not going to go all to them, except someone said something about Julie. Well, I do write some pretty ferocious letters of a night. I go home and I have a glass of Pinot Noir and I sit in front of my computer and bang, I send them out. But I've been banned of sending them, and Julie reads them and they come back entirely different to what I sent. So, yes, maybe we should have sent some of those really tough ones anyway, but we didn't. And to Lily, of course, who's always kept me honest. Once, I don't want to go on for too long, but this is a great Lily story. We had one of the members for the Green Party came round to my house, Eugenie, and Lily came home from school and standing in front of everybody, and Eugenie said, "You must be so proud of your dad that they've declared it a climate emergency." And she looked her straight into the eye and she said, "You know, he's full of shit, you know. He just does these things, says these things, then he does nothing." And then we were all just stunned. She was 15 at the time, so we kind of got through it okay. I don't think she said shit, she said full of it. So thanks to everybody. Special thanks to every single one of you. James, it's been a pleasure working with you. Hawke's Bay is lucky to have you. And it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll miss you. And Patty, too, as well. And so all of you, just thank you very much. I don't think I've missed anything, have I? You're on.
Just before you start, Julie, and for those of you who have your app, we want to do pūrākau for you.
We do.
So flick out your phones, go to your apps, and Hinewa is going to start our waiata, pūrākau, which is about this place, and today it's about this man.
Te ara I whanatu aira, pūrākau e tū mai nei, e piki ki runga, I a marama ahau, kei raro ko te matau, te whakatikanga ake ki rungara, ka titi whate rehutai, te ara I whanatu aira, o te Karakia hau, hei tohu no ake, ki te kura I te rehutai, te whakawhiti o te rā, te whakaai o whenua, hoki muri mai au ki te iwi, te ara I whanatu aira.
Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora.
Julie.
Well, this was a little bit unexpected. I just want to say that as a family we're enormously proud of what Rex has done. It's not an easy job putting yourself out in the public, but something that Rex, he doesn't look for the fight, but if there's going to be a fight, then he's always the one to stand up to what he believes in, and that's, I think that's a really impressive legacy that he's left the family. That when you believe in something passionately, that you stand up and you make a difference. So well done, eh? Yeah, we're very, very proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we've got a bit of a presentation. I think there's two of them. And Rex, if I can get you to come forward, you do get your wish with this masterpiece. Does it show up there?
Yeah, it does. You take it off.
But we do have part of your legacy with Te Puna, with the history of the region, brilliantly articulated in this icon which you can pin on your wall. So we're delighted to offer that to you. And we've got another gift here. I'm not sure what's in this. I'll leave this to perhaps Julie or.
So this one here is a gift to you both from the executive team, just as a big thank you for all the sacrifices along the way, and this is a special memento of your time, which is a book that's been made, Rex, of memories of your chairmanship.
Thank you, Rex. And I think we'd something from Napier City. Was that after you were?
There's Lance just back there.
Very
Lance,
appropriate.
this afternoon.
Yep.
Thank you, Rex, on behalf of the Napier City Council. Thank you. Wish you all the best, and brilliant to have you on the regional park and supporting that. So no doubt we'll move on and look at that. And the other thing, just one from one of your fellow workers, Dave Tucker, has said to me this morning, he doesn't mind coming up to help you to plant that. So, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rex. We'll enjoy another quarter of an hour of your time before we move on and pass the torch on. So, Sarah, Chair.
just for this part and for the gifts that have been bestowed upon Rex and on Julie. Just a karakia, just to close this part. E ka ua ne wahara e te matapi o te whare ore hua no tapi anu no tapi arangi. Haria ki rā te kawa tūnu mea te kawa te raunga haria marangata tae ki rungi te pāpā tūhi ngā wai rea ngā wai. Ka whiri te ara tapu o tāne oi. Kai awa e te tupuranga te kawa kai a tāne katau te kawa katau ki tua ki aho te kawa eke pānuku eke tangaroa. Turu hakapaunga ki a tīna. Tīna. Hui e.
Ai ki e.
Kia ora tātou. Sorry to break with due process. I've been ushered as best to say, come forward rather than go back. Look, I'm not going to be very long. Forgive my back. I don't want to talk about Rex, the chairperson, and his political attributes. I want to talk about I knew this would happen. I want to talk about Rex, my best friend. I can roll off all the stories, but if you can get into the heart of Rex Graham, it's a wonderful place to be. I'm a man of no material substance. I'm not rich, quite impoverished really. You are my best friend. I love you. And that's what I want these people to hear about. You're not a leader. You're a servant. You are a true servant of the people. There's no doubt about it. I've seen you at your worst and I've seen you at your best. And you're a good man. I mean, I suppose I can count on one hand a number of people that I trust with my life. And you're one of them. In fact, you're top of the list. We've shared some wonderful moments. It's been a great journey. I'll rattle off a couple if I may, and then I'll make myself inconspicuous. We're in a meeting in Auckland. I'm sitting there at this table, straight out of Ruatoria, Flaxmere. There's Sir James Stewart, Sir Howard Morrison, all these knights sitting around the table, Alan Duff, and then there's me. And I'm thinking, what the heck am I doing here? So this is one incident, and Rex exposed me to a world I never knew existed. We were sitting at another meeting, and I thought I was going quite well. And then he said, look, can we have an adjournment here? Yeah, sure. So he said, mate, can we have... So he took me outside. He said, you know I love you, eh? No matter what, I'll support you. He said, but if you don't mind me saying so, you're effing it up. Okay. But apart from what I've already mentioned, I don't know if you know, but one of Rex's greatest gifts is children. You know, you go anywhere and there's children and they just gravitate towards them. And we were in cafes and restaurants. He sees a child walking with a complete stranger's mother. He'll just go straight over and start, and I fostered over 200 children, but man, I got nothing on you. So I just wanted to say that, brother. And Jules, I remember Cameron and Tava and Rowan, Jesse, and Georgia, of course. But you really came into your own when I lost my wife, when I lost my soulmate. And I went into a big black hole, never shaved, never washed, closed the doors, never went anywhere. And I can remember you saying, if you don't open that bloody door, I'll break it down. And you said this to me. You said, brother, if you don't heal the past, you'll bleed into the future. And geez, so next day I was on the phone saying to Sandra, what do you got for me? But just briefly, that's enough from me. Jules, I just love you. I love you more than you'll ever know. And bless you, brother. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you very much.
All right, folks. We'll have an adjournment now and then come back. But there's a cup of tea and some kai there, so we'll enjoy those moments with Rex and Julie, and then come back and sort of half an hour I think might be needed. 1 o'clock is it? Might be a bit earlier. We need more time than that, 1:45.
The Karakia is on the app. Nā hau te ariki o homai nei kai hei oranga mō mātou tinana whangai o mātou wairua ki te taro o te ora ko i hukuraiti tō tātou ariki. Āmene he kai.
Amen. John, did you want to say?
Just one item. I might have been confined to my rest home room under residential care. I don't know what that means, really. It's only taken 360 days to make the rest of the staff in the rest home understand what my needs are. And the thing that they're horribly not annoyed at, but interested in, is the award I was given a couple of meetings ago, etc., for helping people in the Hawke's Bay understand what this show is all about. And I get plenty of it. Where are you going today? Oh, I said, you'll hear when I get back. I'll give you the papers to read. I don't think the manager of the outfit knows exactly what I do when I go away in a taxi every morning. But I'm thankful for the taxi chits, the books that I'm given. Even had them delivered right to my room by the organiser. So you don't run out over the weekend to go to church. Thank you for everything. I must admit though that it's got past me. I'm coming up 75 and I think I'll have to volunteer to retire from a reserve.
Thank you. Let's adjourn now and